So the tensions are increasing in the Horn of Africa as Egypt continues to flex its muscle by supplying more arms to Somalia, which is unsettling the Ethiopians in this unstable region of Africa. The military cargo, which was carried on a warship, arrived in Somalia on Sunday, and it included anti-aircraft guns and artillery. This is the second consignment of arms to Somalia from Egypt. The first supply was delivered last month in August by 2 Egyptian military planes which landed in Mogadishu. Now, as you know, the Horn of Africa is a geopolitical hotspot which is renowned for its strategic importance and historic conflicts. This region has seen a recent surge in tensions. A significant factor contributing to this escalation is Egypt's increasing arms supply to Somalia. Egypt, in their defense, views Somalia as a potential breeding ground for extremist group and has expressed concerns about the spread of terrorism in the region because Al-Shabaab runs rampant in Somalia. So this strategic move, while intended to bolster Somalia's security and counter regional threats, has stoked fears of a proxy war and heightened tensions among the regional powers, namely Ethiopia and Egypt, or Ethiopia versus Egypt. The context of this tension, which I talked about in another video, is multi-layered, so I'll be brief. We know that the River Nile basin, which is shared by several countries including Egypt, Ethiopia, and the Sudan, is a source of tension due to competing claims over the water resources. Egypt has opposed Ethiopia's construction of the gigantic Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam, or the GERD, fearing that it could reduce Egypt's water supply from the Nile, therefore weaponizing the dam if Ethiopia wishes to, because then they would have full control of the flow of the Nile River, and therefore controlling the downstream countries of Sudan, and especially Egypt, which is entirely really dependent on the Nile River. Now, Ethiopia disputes this. The Prime Minister, Abiy Ahmed, has repeatedly stated that he has no intentions whatsoever to weaponize the dam. He argues that Ethiopia is simply tapping the energy resource for its development because 60% of its people have no access to electricity or power, and they're trying to industrialize the country. But there is also another worry that there is a risk that these weapons supplied to Somalia by Egypt could fall into the hands of the extremist groups or be smuggled to other conflict zones in this troubled region of Africa. This is a very troubled region, as you might be aware. So if, for example, the arms fall into the hands of Al-Shabaab, which runs rampant there and has been terrorizing Somalia for a long time now, well, then things could get very, very bad. The terror that could be unleashed by this extremist group is unimaginable given the weapons. Now, in addition, Somalia faces increasing tensions with the breakaway country of Somaliland, which seceded from Somalia in 1991. But Mogadishu considers it as part of Somalia. There is another interesting dynamic here, because some people are fearing that Egypt's support for Somalia could lead to a proxy war with Ethiopia, given that these two are enemies. I think it's already happening. So if you're confused by the dynamics of this region, I wouldn't blame you. But there is an existing diplomatic row between Somalia and Ethiopia, as Mogadishu is not happy with the intentions of Ethiopia, which they have been actively seeking to become the first country to recognize the breakaway region or country of Somaliland. And obviously, Somalia or Mogadishu, they are absolutely furious about this, because if that happens, Ethiopia becomes the first country in the world to recognize Somaliland as a country, because Somaliland is not recognized as a country, but as part of Somalia, though it has its own government structures, its own flag, everything is separate. Again, there is that friction because Somalia considers Somaliland as part of Somalia. which means potentially Somaliland could then become a proxy for Ethiopia and Somalia a proxy for Egypt. Now, the increased violence and instability caused by the arms supply could exacerbate the humanitarian crisis in Somalia and the wider region. There are fears of a famine looming in this region due to political instability and conflicts. There is also a refugee crisis in this region. Remember, there are quite a few civil wars and conflicts in this region. Think of Sudan, a bit further in Central Africa Republic, Chad, Libya, Niger, Mali, Burkina Faso, North Nigeria, and Zaire. So this is a very troubled neighborhood right there. So then, what do you think about this move by Egypt? Is it helpful, or it is just fueling the fire between themselves, Egypt, and the Ethiopians? Tell me what you think by leaving a comment below, and I'll see you in my next one.